Welcome to Mwalimu Ogeke Mathematics Educational Channel, where I'll be taking you through this Predictor Series 1 of KCSE 2021. That is the candidates that will be doing KCSE in March next year. I had done earlier Section A of the same Predictor, and now I am giving the Section B. Be with me up to the end, and remember to subscribe and like, and give a comment. Question number 17 of my Predictor Series 1. The question is on equation of straight lines, but I feel that it can be tricked in such a way like it has been before in some KCSE papers, that three facets of a parallelogram ABCD are A, negative 7, 3, B, 1, negative 1, and C, 5, 1, and the C5, 1. That is, on the grid provided, draw the parallelogram ABCD. Remember, from here, a parallelogram is a four-sided figure. So that means there is a point that you are not given a point D, because you are given point A, B, C, and you need to find a point D. But because you are told it's a parallelogram, you remember that if you draw A to B, and then there is an AB, so you realize that you'll be having also a CD. AB will be parallel to CD. That means that if they are parallel, the gradient of AB will be equal to the gradient of CD. Like I've said here, if you can see my comment here, is that I identify D. That is by saying that gradient of AB equals to gradient of C of DC. So if you realize that, so I assume that because first of all you can sketch, you can draw A, point A, just go to your graph and draw point A, negative 7, 3, you locate it here, make just of course a Cartesian plane with the positives and negatives. This one is usually normal. So from there, locate these points, negative 7, 3, negative 7, 3, and also locate point 1, negative 1, point 1, negative 1, that is our B. Locate a point C5, 1, locate at this point C5, 1. So if I join A to B, then B to C, I'll be able to see that there is a point missing. I don't know where this D could be. So there is a point D missing. So that means if I join that to D and I join this, but I don't know where D is. So first of all, I need to find this D. For me to find this D, I've said that we say the gradient now of AB is parallel to the gradients of D to C, or C to D, where you don't know where D is. So first of all, we say that get the gradient of AB, it is change in Y or change in X. So the change in Y for AB, it is 3 minus negative 1. So 3 minus 1 is the same as 3 plus 1. This is what I've done here. 3 plus 1 all over. This is now negative 7 minus 1. Negative 7 minus 1 gives you negative 7 minus 1. So this will be equal to a point which we don't know. This is X and Y. So it will be Y. Assume this is Y now. D is Y minus 1 all over X minus 5. So that means we equalize the numerator and also we equalize the denominator, meaning that 3 plus 1 equals to y minus 1. So 3, I've said that 3 plus 1 equals to y minus 1. So from there you can find the value of y. Because 3 plus 1 is 4. So you bring 1 this other side, so y becomes, this is 4 plus now 1, y becomes 5. Y becomes, that is y minus 1 equals to 4, y is 5. And also, this is x minus 5 will be equal to negative 8. X minus 5 equals, because this is negative 1, minus 1 gives you negative 8. So x minus 5 equals to negative 8. So you take negative 5 to the right hand side, you'll be having x is equals to negative 8 plus 5, and that gives you negative 3. And therefore the point D, it is negative 3, 5. So you locate a point negative 3, 5. So this is how you want to identify D, so that you know D will be there. Then from there you join to make a parallelogram. So you score your 2 marks, one for identifying this and another one for drawing the points. Then from there you are asked that we determine the gradient of line AB. Already I've done it because it's a change in y over a change in x, which is I've said it is 3 plus 1. Because it's 3 minus 1, that means 3 plus 1 over negative 7 minus 1, this is 4 over negative 8, that gives you negative half. So that is the gradient of this AB. Then the equation, you're asking to find the equation of line AB. This line AB, the equation of line AB in form of y equals to mx plus c, where m and c are constants. So first of all, we let another point xy, like I've done here. I've tried to explain that we let another point xy to be on AB. If we let xy to be on AB and xy to be even at this point or a point outside there, whichever place. So if we let a point xy to be on the same line AB, so that means the gradient, remember using that same point xy and n of this, either 1, negative 1 or negative 7 and 3, we get the same. If we use n point and another point xy, we will get the same gradient. So the same gradient, which is negative half, so we'll say negative half equals to y minus, if I use this one, if I use this point, that is negative 7 and 3, so it will be y minus 3 all over x minus 7. So we shall have negative half is equals to y minus 3 all over x plus 7. So we cross multiply, it is 2 to this point, it will be 2 into brackets y minus 3, that gives you 2y. If you open the bracket, minus 6, 2y minus 6 equals to negative 1 into x plus 7. If you open negative 1 to x, it will be negative x, then negative 1 to 7, it will be negative 7. So we shall have negative x minus 7. So 2y minus 6 is equals to negative x minus 7. And therefore, if you take 6, this other side, it will be 2y equals to negative x minus 7 plus 6. So negative 7 plus 6 gives you negative 1. So we shall be having 2y equals to negative x minus 1. But the form we are told is y equals to mx, so we make sure we remain with only y here. So we divide by 2 all through. If you divide by 2 all through, we shall remain with y equals to negative half, x minus half. So that is the equation in this form. Then you go to the next question, that is part C of the question, is that another line L is perpendicular to CD. Is perpendicular. Sorry, we are told that another line L is perpendicular to CD. So we have CD here and a line which is perpendicular to CD here. At this point we call it 1, 3. At that point where at the point 1, 3, that is what we are told. So the equation of L. So we determine the equation of L, that is a perpendicular line to CD. So first of all, we need to know that the gradient of CD equals the gradient of AB because they are parallel. So they are equal. And even this gradient is equal to this gradient. So they are parallel, the gradients are equal. And therefore, the gradient I'll get, remember, I have this gradient. I need now to find the gradient of the perpendicular line. The gradient of perpendicular line, we know that m1 times m2 equals to negative 1. And therefore, gradient of CD equals to gradient of AB, which is negative half. So we let gradient of L to be m, and therefore negative half times m will give you negative 1. So m equals to 2 because we times the 2 over negative 1 times 2 over negative 1, negative and negative cancel, so we remain with 2. M is 2. And therefore, if we use that gradient and another point xy, with 0.13, so we shall be having 2 over 1 equals to y minus 3 over x minus 1. So we cross multiply, it will be y minus 3 equals to 2x minus 2. Y minus 3 equals to 2x minus 2, so y equals to 2x plus 1. But remember, this is in the form y equals to mx plus c. But we are told in this form ax plus by equals to c. If you leave at this point y equals to 2x plus 1, we have here 3 marks. You could have scored only 2 marks, but you lose the answer mark because you are told in the form ax plus by equals to c. And therefore, you need to have it in the form given. So what you are supposed to do in this case is that we rearrange in the form. We need ax to be on the left hand side, so we bring this. If you bring if we bring this, I can do this. I can bring this this other side, so that I bring y this other side, so it will be -1 equals to 2x minus y. So that's the same as 2x minus y equals to -1, and it will be in this form we are told. Or even if you brought everything this other side, so that you remain with 1, so it will be y minus 2x equals to +1. But remember, we need in the form ax plus by, so it is y minus 2x. So we need to rearrange again. It will be minus 2x plus y equals to +1. So we divide by a negative all through, so that we remove, it will be still in this way. So that is 2x minus y equals to -1. So that is the form. Then the coordinate of y-intercept of line L. Remember, you are told the coordinate of the y-intercept. You have not been asked about the y-intercept. If you are asked about y-intercept, we know at y-intercept x is 0. So at this line, we know x will be 0. So that means if we substitute where there is an x which is 0, so we shall be 0 times 2, that gives you 0. So minus y equals to -1 divided by a negative all through, y equals to +1. So y equals to, that's what exactly I've done here, y equals to +1. Remember, y equals to 1, that becomes the y-intercept. If the question was, you find the y-intercept, then you could have said y equals to 1. But you are told the coordinate of the y-intercept. So at y-intercept, we know x is 0. So the coordinate is 0, 1. Coordinate is 0, 1. So that is how you were supposed to answer that question and score your 10 marks without much struggle. So we go to question number 19. The figure below shows the velocity time graph of a car journey. So we have the y-axis here. That's velocity in meters per second, and the x-axis is time in terms of t. So the car starts from rest. It starts from rest and accelerates at 2.75 meters per second square. That is the acceleration at this point from rest at this point. The acceleration is 2.75 meters per second square for t seconds. It accelerated for this time t. Then we are asking that until its speed is so it accelerated up to 22 meters per second. It then travels at this velocity until 40 seconds after starting. So it travels for 40 seconds from starting. At this speed, it goes for 40 seconds. Then it breaks and brings it to rest uniformly. The total journey takes 840 meters long and it takes t seconds. We calculate the value of t. So first of all, you realize that to get the value of t, we know the acceleration. We know that acceleration is final velocity minus initial velocity or the time taken. The final velocity, remember, is 22 minus initial velocity, which is 0, or our time taken, which is t. That gives you 2.75. That is exactly 2.75 equals to 22 minus 0 over t. So that means 22 minus 0 is 22. 22 all over t equals to 2.75. So if If I make t the subject, then we shall have t equals to 22 all over 2.75. That gives you 8 seconds. 8 seconds is the value of t. Then the distance traveled during the first t seconds. Distance, it is the area under the curve. The area under the curve will be now a half times the base, which is 8, times the height, which is 22. So it is a half times 8 times 22, and that gives you 8 meters. Then the value of t. So we know that area under the whole curve gives you the total distance. Area under the whole curve gives you the total distance, and the total distance is 847 meters. So that means this is a trapezium. So we shall be having a half times the base, half times the height, which is 22, into a. If we use a to be t capital, because this is we are told that the whole journey took t seconds, so up to this point is t, from 0 to this point is t capital seconds. So we shall say that a half times height, which is 22, into brackets t plus from here to here. Remember, this is 8 and this is 40, so from here to here is 40 minus 8, which is 32. So it will be, that is like I've said, it will be 847. That's the total distance. Is half times 22 into t plus 32. So 847 will be, this is 11. 11, you open the brackets here, we shall have 11t plus 11 times 32 gives you 352. So we take this other side, so it will be 847 minus 352, we get 495 equals to 11t. So t will be 495 divided by 11, and that gives you 45 seconds. So that is the total time taken, that is the value of t, the total time taken for the whole journey. Then the final deceleration. Remember, I told final deceleration, it is now, remember, it is final velocity minus initial velocity. For deceleration, remember, this is where it decelerated to 0. So it is 0 minus 22, or at the time, that is 45 minus 40 is 5. So we shall be having 0 minus 22 or 45 minus 40, that is negative 22 over 5, which is 4.4 meters square. That's the deceleration. You can write it in positive form because you are talking about deceleration. Or you can say that's the deceleration is equal to 4.4 meters per second. Or you can say acceleration is equal to negative 4.4 meters per second square. Then we go to the next question. That is question number 20. It is talking about a school in Meru Central decided to buy a school in Meru Central decided to buy X calculators for its students for a total cost of 16,200 Kenyan shillings. The supplier agreed to offer a discount of Kenyan shillings, 60 Kenyan shillings per calculator. The school was then able to get 3 extra calculators for the same amount of money. Write an expression in terms of get X for the original price of each calculator. Remember, there were X calculators and the cost was 16,200 for all of them. So each calculator was costing 16,200 divided by X. Divided by X, that is the original, you get 1 mark. Price for each calculator after the discount. Remember the original, the discount, now the price, the discount, there were 3 more calculators. So that means after the discount, the price became, of each calculator became, that is 16,200 because that is the amount he had. All over X plus 3, the 3 extra calculator. So that is the amount now he bought for each calculator after the discount. Then form an equation in X and hence determine the number of calculators the school bought. So that means, remember, we are told that he was given a discount of 60 shillings per calculator. So that means 16,200, the original price, minus the discount, which is 60 per calculator, could still give the amount he bought, the new discount. That is 16,200 after the discount, which was 16,200 over X plus 3. This is the amount after the discount. So that means this minus 60, which was the discount, gives you this one, the price of each calculator after the discount. So if you do that, you can see I've put it over 1 so that I find the LCM of these two on the left hand side, gives me x. Then I ask myself, x comes here 1 times is 16,200 gives you 16,200 minus 1 goes to x times 60 gives you 60x. So this is equal to 16,200 over x plus 3. So that means if I cross multiply, it will be x plus 3 into 16,200 into that. That is x plus 3 into this equals to x times this, which is 16,200x. So that means if I expand this x into all of this plus 3 into all of this, that gives you 16,200. You open this bracket, you will find that 16,200x, because if you open that, then this 60 that minus 60x squared, then plus 3 times this gives you 14,600. Then minus 3 times 60 go on 8x equals to 16,200x. So that this and this will cancel, because if you bring this there one side, or if you take this other side, it will be 0 and will remain with the negative 60x squared plus 48,600 minus 180x equals to 0. So we divide by negative, you'll be having 60x squared minus, now plus, here become plus and this becomes minus, plus 180x minus this, so that if you divide by 60 all through, you'll find x squared plus 3x minus 810 equals to 0. You use the formula method of quadratic equation to find the value of x. So x equals to minus b squared plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac or over 2a. So we have minus, that is minus b, that's minus 3 plus or minus b squared, that is 3 squared, which is 9, minus 4ac. Because of this negative, it will be plus. So 4 times 8, 10 gives you 3240. Or over 2a, a is 1, so it is 2. So it's minus 3 plus or minus the square root of this. When you add, you get 57 over 2. So that gives you 54. If you add, it's 57 minus 3, which is 54 over 2. Or negative 3 minus 57 gives you negative 60 over 2. So it is 27 or negative 30. But the number of calculators cannot be negative, and therefore the number of calculators were 27 positive. That is what we are asked to find, and that is what you are supposed to do. Then the next question is that we can get the discount offered at the school as a percentage. So the discount offered was, the initial cost was 16,200. That is 16,200 over 27 or over x, of course, which was 27, gives you 600, and there was a discount of 60. So the percentage discount is 60 over the original times 100, and that gives you 10%. We go to the question number 21. A solid is made up of a conical frustum and a hemispherical top. The slant height of the frustum is 8 centimeter. This is the slant height of the frustum. And it is base radius is 3.5 centimeter. If the radius of the hemispherical top is 4.2 centimeter, find the area of the circular base. Circular base, it is just pi r squared. Pi r squared, which is 20 over 7 times 3.5 times 3.5, that gives you 38.5 centimeter square. So you get only 2 marks there. And then from there we ask the curved surface of the frustum. Remember, curved surface of the frustum, if we prolong this, we make a cone. If we make a cone, so we need to find the curved surface of a cone. It is pi r l. Remember, the larger cone minus a smaller cone here. So pi r l is the curved surface area of a cone. So it is pi r l minus pi r l small. So that is pi r l minus pi r l small. So we need to find the L. The L, that is the larger. Remember, this is, if I make here, then I prolong this, I make this x. That is the largest slant height will be 8 plus x, and the small slant height will be x. So if I use similarity and enlargement, then I talk about 4.2, that is the larger radius, all over the 3.5 equals to larger slant height, which is 8 plus x, all over smaller slant height, which is x. So you cross multiply, you get 4.2x equals to 28. That is 8 times 3.5 gives you 28 plus 3.5x. So right comes together. 4.2 minus 3.5 gives you 0.7. X equals to 28. We divide by 0.7, you get x as 40. And therefore, if x is 40, meaning that the larger L is 48 and the smaller L is 40. So counter surface area will be pi RL minus pi RL, which is 22/7 times 4.2, that is for this larger, times 48, that is the larger slant height. Then minus 22/7 times 3.5 times 40. So you get 603.6 minus 440 gives you 193.6 centimeters square. And that is the curved surface area of the frustrum. Then we talk about the hemispherical surface. The hemispherical surface. Hemispherical surface, remember hemisphere or a sphere, the surface area of a sphere is 4 pi r squared. So hemisphere is a half of a sphere, which is a half of 4 pi r squared, and that half of 4 is 2. So it will be 2 pi r squared. That's the area of a hemisphere. Hemisphere, remember, it is the one with the radius of 4.2 because it's at the top. So surface area of the hemisphere is 2 times 22/7 times r squared, which is 4.2 times 4.2. That gives 776.16 centimeters squared. And then we are told part B is that a similar solid has a total surface area of 81.51 centimeters squared. Determine the radius of its base. The radius of it is base. So we need to use what we call the total surface area of the solid that we have done, because it's a similar solid. The total surface area is this area plus this area plus the area of the base. That is the top radius. At the top area, that's the hemisphere, plus the frustrum, that is the frustrum area, then plus the base area, that's the total surface area. If you add all of them, gives you 1008.26 centimeters square. And therefore, we can find the area scale factor because we are told they are a similar one. So we use area scale factor. We say that this area, total area, all over this area, which is the total area of 2, that is the area scale factor, which is 12.36977. That is our area scale factor. If we know the area scale factor, we can find the linear scale factor because we are asked to determine the radius of the base of the smaller. So that if I find the linear scale factor, I need to find the radius. I need to find the linear scale factor. I need to find the square root of the area scale factor. Linear scale factor is equals square root of the area scale factor, which gives you 3.517. So that means if I use that 3.517, that is the area scale factor, equals to the radius of the larger, of the base of the larger, which is 3.5, or the radius of the base of the smaller, which we don't know this solid now. That is the smaller solid, that is R. So that means if I make R the subject, R times 3.175 equals to 3.5. So to get R equals to 3.5 all over 3.517, which is 0.995 centimeters, or which is approximately equal to 1 centimeter. That is the radius of the base of this similar solid, which is smaller solid. We go to question number 22. And number 22, we are talking about the table below shows the amount in shillings of pocket money given to students in a particular school. So we have students who are given between 201 shillings to 219 shillings are 5. Students who are given between 220 to 229 shillings are 13. All this is given. Then we are asked to state the model class. The model class is a class with the highest frequency. The one with the highest frequency is the one with 32. So the model class is 240 to 249. Then we calculate the amount of pocket money given to these students, the nearest shillings. They calculate the mean amount, mean, To get the mean, we need to arrange now this class. We arrange this class like I have done here. Then we find the midpoints. The midpoints, you add this and this, you divide by 2, this and this, you divide by 2. You get it as 210, 224.5, 234.5. You get all the midpoints. Then we need to write these frequencies, the number of students, that is the frequencies for all of them. Then we need to find fx. Fx, you multiply these two. Fx, you find all of them. You find also, you need to find the cumulative frequency to assist you answer this question. That is the median. The cumulative frequency will assist you in answering the median. So after you've done all this, we know that we need to find the cumulative frequency of this summation of f. We add all of this, which is the same as cumulative frequency, gives you 150. Then summation of fx, you add all of this, summation of fx, if you add all of them, you get 37,802.5. Then we also need to find the mean. The mean we know is equal to summation of fx or of a summation of f. So our mean will be equal to 37,802.5 divided by 150, and that gives you 252.07 shillings. So that is the amount of money that is averagely each student was being given 252 shillings.017. Now we can get the median money, the median amount of money that was given to each student. To get the median, we need to know the median class. To get the median class is a half of the cumulative frequency, which is a half of 150 is 75. Now we look at the cumulative frequency and see where 75 can lie. 75 cannot be on 73. 75 can be on 99. It cannot be on 73 because 73 is less. So it can only be where there is a 75 or where there is a more than 75. So it can only lie here on cumulative frequency. So if it lies here, so our median class will be 250 to 259. So the median class is 250 to 259. And therefore, to get what we call the median, it is L1 plus n over 2 minus CA over FM into I. L1 means the lower limit of the median class. N stands for cumulative frequency or the sum of frequency. So for median, we divide by 2, then minus cumulative frequency above the median class. This is cumulative frequency. CA stands for cumulative frequency above the median class. Our median class is here. So cumulative frequency above the median class is 73. Then FM is the frequency of the median class. This is our median class. The frequency of median class is 26. So that means we take L1, that is the lower limit of this is, remember, if it is 201 to 219, then the next is 220 to 229, next is 230. They have limits. So the limits, there is a 1, the least unit of measurement in this case is 1 because there are whole numbers. We divide by 2 is 0.5. So for lower limit, we subtract 0.5. For upper limit, we add 0.5. So the lower limit of this class is 250 minus 0.5, which gives you 249.5. 249.5 plus, that is n over 2 cumulative frequencies, 150 over 2 is 75, minus cumulative frequency above, I said above the median class is 73, then all of our frequency of the median class, which is 26, then times I is the class width. So the class width here, remember upper limit is 259.5 minus 249.5. 259.5 minus 249.5 because that's the lower. If you minus, you get 10. So that is times 10. So if you get all that, you calculate 249.5 plus, this gives you 2 over 26 times 10. So that gives you 0.76 or that plus 249.5 gives you 250.269. 250.269. So that is our median. And then you score all those 10 marks. The number 23, the figure below shows triangle XYZ in which line XY equals to 5, YZ is 13.4, and the size of angle XYZ is 57.7. So we calculate the line xz. We look for xz. Now that we have this and there is an inclusive angle here, we use the cosine rule. Cosine rule, we know that c squared equals to a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cos c. And therefore, xz squared will be equal to this line squared plus this squared minus 2 times this cos of 57.7. So that's what we have done in this. So we substitute all this. This 13.4 squared plus the 5 squared, it gives you 204.56 minus 2 times 13.4 times 5 times the cos of 57.7 gives you 71.603. We subtract, we get 132.957. We look for the square root to find the xz, which gives you 11.53 centimeter. 11.53 centimeter. So we go ahead and calculate the size of xzy, this angle. If we know now this line and we also know this angle, we can use what we call the sine rule. Sine rule states that a over sine A equals to b over sine B. So xz, this xz over sine of 57.7 equals to 5 over sine of z, or xzy, or sine xzy. That is what we have said here. So that is xz is 11.53 over sine 57.7 is equals to 5 over sine xzy. So we cross multiply, it will be 11.53 sine xzy equals to 5 sine 57.7. So that means we divide by 11.53 to remain with sine xzy. Sine xzy equals to 5 sine 57.7 over 11.3, which gives you 0.3665. So xzy equals to sine inverse of 0.3665. Then angle xzy equals to sine inverse of that, which gives you 21.499, which is the same as 21.5 degrees. So that is the angle that we are asking. Now for us to find angle yxz, that is angle yxz. Now that we have this and this, we know angle of a triangle add up to 180, and therefore that angle will be 180. That is why it is 2 marks. It will be 180 minus, you add the 2, that gives you 100.8 degrees. Finally, question number 24, it is about differentiation, that is finding the turning points and the nature of the turning points. The question is, the equation of a curve is y equals to 2x cubed minus 9x squared plus 12x minus 9. We find the gradient of the curve when x is equals to 3. We know that the gradient is dy over dx. We differentiate, it is 2 times 3, which gives you 6. And we reduce the power by 1, so it is 2 times 3, which gives you 6, and the power reduces by 1, it remains x squared minus the power reduces by 2 times 3, 9 is 18, the power reduces by 1, it remains x power 1, so that's x power 1 is x. So it will be x 6x squared minus 18x. Then remember this one, it is x power 1. 1 times 12 is 12, and 1 minus 1 is 0, so x power 0 is 1, so we shall remain with 12. But when you differentiate a constant, the answer is 0. So we shall be having 6x squared minus 18x plus 12. Then when x is 3, we substitute the value of 3 here. For x, we substitute here. It will be 6, 3 squared, not cubed. This is wrong. I was supposed to have... it is squared. It's supposed to be squared because whatever I've done is correct. It's only that I did cubed instead of squared. So it will be 3 squared, which is 9. 9 times 6 is 54. Then minus 18 times 3, which is 54. Then plus 12. 54 minus 54 is 0, plus 12 is 12. So that is the gradient. Then the turning point of the curve. For us to know, we know that at turning point dy over dx equals to 0, dy over dx equals to 0, and therefore 6x squared, which we did here, 6x squared minus 18x plus 12 is 0. So you find that this one forms a quadratic equation. We use the quadratic formula method to find the value of x. So x will be equal to minus b. Minus 18 becomes 18 positive plus or minus square root of b squared, that's 18 squared, you get 324, minus 4ac, minus 4 times 6 is 24, 24 times 12 is 288, all over 2a, 2 times 6 is 12, 2 times 6 is 12. So we shall be having 18 plus or minus the square root of, this is 36 when you subtract, which is 6, then all over 12. So we shall be having 18 plus 6, that is 24, all over 12, which is 2, x equals to 2, or 18 minus 6 is 12, 12 over 12 is 1, or x is 1. So when x is 2, we substitute in the original equation to know the turning point. We substitute in this original equation here, we substitute with 2. When x is 2, so we substitute here like I have done. When x is 2, we substitute everything, we get y to be negative 5, and when x is 1, we substitute in the same original equation, we get y to be negative 4, and therefore the turning points are 1, negative 4. 1, negative 4, and 2, negative 5, and 2, negative 5. So you score your 3 marks. Then from there, the nature of the turning points. To know the nature of the turning points, you can use that table that you know, or you differentiate the equation for the second time. The first time differentiation gives you 6x squared minus 18x plus 12. So if you differentiate second time, it will be 12x now minus 18. It will be 12x minus 18. That's second differentiation. And now we know the turning points 1 and negative 4 and 2 negative 5. Now when x is 1, what is the second differentiation? When x is 1, you substitute here, it will be 12 minus 18 gives you negative 6. Gives you negative 6. And negative 6 is less than 0. It's negative. Is less than 0. When it is less than 0, that is a maximum point. So that means when it is less than 0, second differentiation is less than 0, that is a maximum point. And therefore, 1, negative 4 is a maximum point. We do the same, we substitute for 2, that is for 2, negative 5, in the second differential equation. If we substitute x as 2 in the second differential equation, 2 times 12 is 24, 24 minus 18 is 6, and 6 is greater than 0. When it is greater, the second differential equation is substituted with the value of x is greater than 0, then that is a minimum point. So 2, negative 5 is a minimum point. Then we sketch the curve. Remember we said to sketch the curve, we need to find the y-intercept, the x-intercept, and also the turning points. Y-intercept, x-intercept, and the turning points, and also knowing their nature. So we have the turning points, but we don't have the x and y-intercept. The y-intercept, we can find it because we know that at y-intercept, x is 0. So we substitute in the original equation at y-intercept, x is 0. So x being 0 here, we shall remain with y as negative 9. So y-intercept is negative 9. Y-intercept is negative 9. You can see in my graph, y-intercept is negative 9. So that is why we have. Then you can look at the equation and see that you cannot find the x-intercept because at x-intercept y is 0. So if y is 0 here, so this is a cubic equation. A cubic equation, if we did not have a negative 9 here, we could have solved it. It could be easy to solve it at this level. But at this level, that is high school level, unless in your syllabus you cannot solve this equation when it is equal to 0. Because if it was there was no negative 9, then you could have factored out x. You could have factored out x to get a quadratic equation that will allow you, so x could be 0, and a quadratic equation is solved to get the other two values of x. But for this case, you could not solve it, and therefore you cannot find the x-intercept. Leave the x-intercept alone in this case. Now use what you have. You have now the y-intercept and the turning points. The y-intercept, you plot it as -9, and then the turning points you have 1 and -4, and also you have 2 and -5. We know that obviously we said that this one is the maximum point, so that means this curve was moving from this point and turned at this point and turned this being a minimum point this way upwards. So that is how you sketch. Because it's just a sketch, you score your 2 marks without much struggle. So that is how simple a paper can look like, and that is how simple even KCSE can be. If you follow these tutorials to the end, like I'm going to do, by January, I'll be doing series 2, paper 1. But before then, I shall have done a paper 2 series 1. I shall have done a paper 2 series 1. Just subscribe for you to get updates on when I upload a paper. Thank you for listening, and ensure you subscribe. Thank you.